Hey, everybody, and we are super excited about today's training and today's episode because we're actually going to be talking about one of our favorite topics in the whole wide world, and that is
Okay.
planning ahead. I know that may sound very unsexy to a lot of you, but what Nancy and I can share with you and what we're going to be diving into with today's episode and today's training of why it's important to start planning now instead of waiting until January 1st. So, before we get into today's episode, as we have previously mentioned, we are doing our final free LinkedIn workshop of the year. It's based around LinkedIn content. It's called the Expert's Edge, helping you to create LinkedIn content that positions you as an expert and actually helps you grow your business. It is from Monday, November 24th to Tuesday, November 25th. It is from 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live and recorded. The replays are available until the 28th of November, so the end of that week. So this is our Black Friday special workshop, the final one that we're doing of the calendar year, and we would love to see you there. So if you're watching on social, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn, just type the word free, FREE, in the comments, and we'll send you the link. If you would like to register rate from listening to the podcast, head to the description of this episode, and the link is there for you to get yourself registered. So, Nancy, I was being half serious, half joking um, about this being one of our favorite topics, but it is a very impactful thing that we do. And we always tell people that our October 1st is everybody else's or everyone's January 1st is our October 1st. So we always start planning out way ahead of time. So why is it important for people to start planning ahead? Even though, again, it is early November, it is still not too late to start planning ahead. We got started last month, but why is it really important for people to start planning now?
Yeah, I mean, I always tell people this time of the year it actually is one of my favorite. The October being sandwiched, right in between, right, the big important months that are coming up with holidays and all kinds of stuff. And, I think October is such a great month, but also obviously November, which, that's what time of the year it is right now. But they're great months because when you're able to sit down and you're able to map out everything for the upcoming year, and I'm not talking about the minute details, I'm talking about just having an idea of what you want to do for each quarter, and what marketing focuses that you want to have, it is such a game changer, right? It allows you to actually take a lot of that off your mind, and mindset wise, you can enjoy holidays so much more whenever you feel, right, that you've got a plan to step into, right? We don't want you feeling behind already when January 1st hits. Okay. So now, right, pretty much now until January 1st, right, is a great time to start planning. And so we actually do it in kind of a unique and different way. And that's what we're going to kind of share with you guys today. And we don't have anything prepped. We don't have anything, as far as notes or anything for this call. We're going to just kind of spitball with you guys, but really go through the simplicity of what we do. But part of the reason why we can be so simplistic and why it's so enjoyable now is because we've added one little reoccurring routine, which has really changed the game. Okay. And what that routine is this past few years, we've gotten really good at tracking our monthly business metrics. Okay. Whenever I
Our
say our
KPIs, our KPIs.
monthly KPIs, right? Key performance indicators. We track them every single month, and we track things such as sales. We track things such as email open rates and website visitations, all kinds
Podcast
of things.
downloads.
Podcast downloads. So we have conversations every single month, and that helps us to fine tune, right, the plans that we have, right? So on that call, we'll go through the numbers. We do what we call the red, yellow, green meeting, right? What's going well, what needs work, and what do we need to stop doing because it's not doing anything beneficial. And we obviously bob and weave and make adjustments. So, because we have that standing routine, which I recommend everyone who's listening, if you guys are entrepreneurs, if you're business owners, if you are in charge of, obviously your business, it's a great thing to do, even if you don't have a team. Okay, so make a standing routine on your calendar for a monthly business review. And it doesn't have to take that long. Obviously, you got to do a little bit of prep work, making sure you can pull things and obviously get the reporting for everything that you need. But it is a game changer. Okay. So that I just wanted to get out of the way and make sure to kind of put it out there that that routine alone has made our yearly, right, planning session, which we just did a couple of weeks ago, so much more enjoyable. So, now we'll kind of, I guess, dive into the details. And if you could see Scott, he's just like looking very, I don't know. Yeah, so let's dive into the details. So Scott, like what is I would say like what's so much easier about this past planning session? What do you think has gotten better over the years as we've been doing this every single year?
I would say our focus of what we actually want instead of what we need.
Mm,
And we always focus on the end in mind. So we always focus like, all right, what is our big monetary goal that we're looking to hit by the end of next year? So we're talking about the end of 2026. So we also look where we are right now and where we're estimated to finish by the end of this year. And we have a pretty good idea of where we're going to finish around. And then what we do is we take where we are now and where we want to be a year from now, and we look at the monetary gap in between those two numbers. We say, okay, if everything stayed the same from this year to next year, like no numbers increased, we had the same amount of people in all of our programs and everything that we're offering, we would have the same number. So, what does it look like to go from, again, as an example, going from 100,000 a year to 150,000 a year, right? So there's a $50,000 gap. So you would look at what you're offering. So if you're listening or watching and maybe you have a course, maybe you have a program, maybe you do coaching or consulting, maybe you do group coaching, you have a mastermind, maybe you have a membership or a subscription-based model. What does that equal to as far as new members, new clients, new subscribers? So Nancy and I, we have a few different core offers. So we have three different businesses. One, Nancy runs with our CMO and team. It's her content repurposing agency, which she is a business partner for insurance brokers. I have my own individual coaching and consulting practice for LinkedIn. And together we run the Time to Grow, which has three core offers. There is a subscription slash community, there is a DIY course, and then we have our high level group coaching mastermind. So what we do is we look at the three different businesses, what they brought in individually, and what we're looking to grow in the coming year. So full transparency, the year of 2026 for myself and Nancy, we always pick a word to represent our year. And our year is represented by the word optimize for 2026. We are looking to optimize every and any aspect to our businesses. Most notably, a a very, very high performing sales funnel that leads people to our number one focus for 2026, which is growing our community slash membership, the Expert Content Society. So when we look at the numbers, we can say, okay, here's where we are right now. Where do we need these numbers to be by the end of the year that would equate to this dollar amount that we're looking to have? So then we say, okay, we need to increase by either this dollar amount or this many members or clients, and then we work backwards. All right, so now we have the numbers of exactly what we need to happen. We correlate that to our marketing calendar of events that we host. So many of you know that are watching or listening, Nancy and I run anywhere between 5 to 7 workshops throughout the year that are know, like, and trust building events where people then have the option, if they see value and a fit for something that we're providing, whether it's our group coaching mastermind or our community people will then take the next step and jump in with us. That is one of the number one ways that we get people into our sphere and close people into what that person feels is of the most value to them. So the way that we really break this down is making sure that people understand. You can't just hope, wish, and pray that you're going to hit a certain number. Nancy talked about the KPIs. We need to see, okay, what do we need to grow our email list by? I just shared this with Nancy prior to hitting, record and doing this training today that I did a guest spot for a summit that was helping people with newsletters. And my 60-minute keynote was around how to leverage LinkedIn newsletters. And I was able to offer a free resource to anyone that was on there watching on this webinar. And it was our high impact post templates for LinkedIn. There was about 120 people on there live. And I just shared with Nancy that 93 of them ended up opting in for our free lead magnet, which now gets them into our sphere. So I gave 60 minutes of my free time and was able to bring in 93 new people. Now, the amount of money that you would probably have to spend on Facebook ads or Meta ads to get 93 new emails or leads, I don't even know what that number is. But at the end of the day, you're looking to do things that are going to help you grow your bottom line revenue. So 90 through 93 new emails, now those people can be taken through any sequence that we have. They can come to our events, and that could lead to new clients acquired, new members, and new business growth.
Yep, absolutely. So, just to share with you guys kind of again, right, we already have our business numbers and things like that, which has made it easier, right, for us to see what is working and what isn't, right? Those are conversations we have all year. But during that meeting, I think what made it easiest for us, aside from making sure we have no cell phones, right, to look at and no, being on our computer, we actually didn't even have a computer with us. We just sat there and we kind of wrote some things down on paper. And, it was incredibly effective because what we did is we went through and I had our notes from last year. And basically, we fill out a little worksheet that we put together. It's a Google sheet. It basically says, the month and it's separated by quarters. And it will say, what is our marketing, focus? What is our workshop? What is our product that we're promoting? And we just kind of go through and we will see what we did last year and we will, obviously adjust and tweak as needed. Now, for everyone who might be doing this for the first time, one of the most simple tips I will give you, and guys, I have done this with multi-million dollar business owners. I've done it with obviously ourselves. We've done it with, all different clients. And the most simple thing that you can do, I tell people, just take 12 sheets of blank computer paper or maybe paper from your notebook. And at the top of each of those pieces of paper, write down the month. Okay. You've got January, February, March, right? So every separate piece of paper is a separate month. And what you do first is go through and write down certain things. Okay. And what I typically like to do, number one, I go through in one fell swoop and I write down if there are any holidays or any significant events in that month that I need to be aware of. I go through and I write them down. Right. So maybe like January, I'll write New Year's, right? I'll write any topics that I think will be relevant, like goal planning, anything, of that nature. I'll go, February could be Valentine's Day, November could be Thanksgiving. So I'll go through and I'll write those things down. The second thing I'll write down is vacations, time off, right? Days where I know I'm not going to really be active or super active in my business. Go through and write them down. We actually take a lot of time off during November, December time, this time of the year. Like literally, we'll go in and write that, days that we're going to be away. The third step is now you're going to think about what is the main service or product, right, that you're going to be focusing on. And here's the thing. I don't want you guys to have that misconception of, oh, I can't just, sell everything that I have. Well, you can, but when you are super intentional on your marketing focuses, right? What you are talking to people about, what you are sharing, it becomes so much cleaner, crisper, and more clarified, right, in your messaging and in your content. So, yes, maybe you get somebody on a phone call, and as you're talking through with them, maybe they're not the best fit for, maybe this mastermind that you have, but they're a great fit maybe for this other thing that you have. But the thing is we want to get intentional of what we're promoting. Now, there's a marketing rule of thumb that we always follow, right? You want to plan about four, like a max of four really big launches a year, right? And that kind of equates to being one a quarter. And we want to plan the four what we call A-level launches. And those are the ones that are lots of time, energy, attention, planning, thoughtfulness, right? You're writing your content specifically for a launch. Those are big things like maybe a new program or product. Maybe it's opening the doors to some, offer that you have. It could be really anything that you're putting, again, a ton of energy, time, and attention. Now, you might be asking, well, what the heck do I promote, all the other months? Well, there's other things that we should be doing in our business, like growing our email list. So that could be focusing on a specific lead magnet, right, that we have to offer. And again, that call to action looks very simple. If you're doing a video or you're doing like a blog or something like that, it's where you're leading people. So you could have a really awesome download. It could be, hey guys, I've got these awesome 3 prompts, that really help you create amazing content. Go here, click on the link, whatever, right? That's what you're promoting. And for that entire month, that's what you're leading people to intentionally. You can also promote podcast subscriptions, right? So email list growth, podcast subscriptions. Maybe you have a book that you want to kind of re-promote and get out there. There's lots of different things that you can do in between, but my whole point is that each of those papers, right? We've got those key things written down. You have now a specific marketing focus. And what this looks like, guys, if you're not doing this, okay, I want to rewind, right? When Scott first started his coaching business, I used to listen to the sales conversations, and, Scott had multiple things that he was pitching. He had his one-on-one, he had a book, he had a course, he had all these things. And so he would get on a call with someone, and he'd go, yeah, I have this and I have this and I have that and whatever. And I remember
Wheeling and
getting like
dealing.
support emails, and people were like, I don't know the best way to work with you. Like, I'm not really sure where to start, right? It was kind of like all over the place. So it wasn't until we said, you know what, let's really focus on marketing your course this month, and everything, right, was leading up to the course and the benefits and the, all those things. And we sold more courses. Okay. We actually closed more sales the next month. Okay. Let's pick up 2 or 3 or 4, coaching clients. Great. That's what we're going to be really pitching. So please, please, please take the time. And again, the way that I just explained this to you, we still do it to this day, keeping it so simple, right? We want to do more of what's working and less of what's not. But if you are doing this for the first time, and maybe you're putting your services or your programs out there into the world, make sure that you're blocking out those big launches, probably about one a quarter, right? Because we don't want people's heads spinning. We don't want them being like, well, what now? There's another thing. And, trust me, we've done the launching every single month, and, that gets to be tiresome. Plus, you can burn out your audience. So those are a few tips. And again, I do want to like kind of shout out Scott. I think it's been easier getting together and planning. And I know a lot of you out there are kind of solopreneurs, right? You don't have a partner, in crime, right? That helps you with some of this planning, but, it can be very difficult, as obviously we're married, and we also run a business together, and we live every single day with each other. But, it definitely can be a struggle even to meet and have some of these serious business conversations. And this year it was fun. But it was because we've been doing all that work on the front end, to kind of make sure that our business was running and we had a tight pulse on it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just important to look ahead and also acknowledge where you are right now. Um, Enjoy the process and do whatever you can do to move the needle of your business forward and grow it. So before we close out today, again, if you are interested in joining us for our final free LinkedIn workshop called The Expert's Edge, this is where we're going to teach you how to create high impact thought leadership content that actually creates engagement that leads to sales. All you have to do if you're watching on social, just type the word free in the comments and we'll send you the link to register. If you're listening on the podcast, super easy. Just head to the description of this episode. The link is right there. Get yourself registered. And remember, it is November 24th and November 25th. That's a Monday and Tuesday, 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern, live and recorded. Replays will be available till the 28th, and we would love to see you there. So, everyone, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Love and gratitude, and we'll talk to you next time.